All right, folks, let's pick it right back up with our 9/11 10th anniversary special all week with a different guest each segment. And now joining us, I'm very honored to have Colonel Bob Bowman on the program. Many of you know a lot of his great work, and he is a staunch activist demanding justice for 9/11, and he's done a lot of great work with that. I've seen it myself. I saw you talk in Gainesville when he came up and spoke at the Free Speech Forum, gave those people a mouthful. They weren't expecting it. Their faces were a little shocked when you gave your absolutely very empowering talk. Colonel Bob Bowman, thank you again for coming on. Where do we stand here now, 10 years later? Are we ever going to see real justice?
Well, I sure hope so, because if we don't, we're going to continue having a government which serves only the big corporations and the billionaires and the banks and not the American people. We'll continue to have loss of our rights through the Patriot Act and the Military Commissions Act. We'll continue to have corporate wars of aggression around the world, in which we, the American people, sacrifice our sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters and wind up paying the bill as well. It's atrocious. It's against the U.S. Constitution. It's against the interests of the American people. And as far as I can see, the only way to reverse this and get the government back under the control of the American people is for the truth about 9/11 to come out, that it wasn't 19 Arabs with box cutters and an old man on a dialysis machine in a cave. And we need to get that truth out so that we can prosecute the perpetrators and put the government of the United States back in the hands of the American people.
Sure.
We've had 2 coups in recent memory. The first was the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, and the second one was 9/11 in 2001.
That's exactly right. That's what they were. They were a coup, and they were done right in front of everyone's face. Now, a lot of people who are skeptical of the, quote, conspiracies, and I use that for lack of better term, that's what they try to call it, say to themselves, they say, well, the government couldn't have been behind this, and they don't understand how the military works. It's compartmentalized. It wasn't necessarily the military. It was a black op, a false flag attack, and it didn't mean that everyone was involved. Now, coming from your background, having been a very high-level military official, what would you say to those people out there that can't seem to still wrap their heads around how this is a compartmentalized false flag attack?
Well, we still don't know who really was involved. That's why we need new investigation to find out, how it was done and who did it. And because, it could be that George W. Bush, for example, was totally clueless, that he was just a pawn in the whole thing. I'd be more hesitant to believe that about Cheney, but it's clear to me that there were elements of the CIA involved in this, that there's a high cabal, using Winston Churchill's words, of the wealthy elite that plan things and planned this in order to, they said in their own document, the PNAC document published before Bush even became president, that we had to occupy Iraq regardless of whether Saddam Hussein was there or not, and occupy it permanently in order to provide a military base from which to control the entire Middle East and all of its oil and gas. But they said the American people would never go for this plan unless there was a new catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor.
Right.
So they needed 9/11, and somehow they pulled it off.
Well, it's amazing that they, now 10 years later are still getting away with it. What are we going to do? What's our best source of recourse?
Well, at the moment, besides our continuing efforts to educate the American people and wake them up to the fact that they've been massively lied to by their government and the corporate monopoly media, is Senator Gravel's idea of a citizen initiative,
Right.
state by state, to get investigative commissions set up that have subpoena power and really go after it.
I really like that idea, Bob, and in fact, Senator Gravel is going to come on the show tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about that, because I do see that as a practical, pragmatic solution.
Yeah, he and I are old friends. We've been working together for over 20 years on all of this stuff and on putting power back in the hands of the American people.
What was it that said to you? What was it that made you say to yourself, "There's something wrong with this," or did you know all along?
It was when I was watching TV on the morning of September 11th, 2001, and I kept saying to my wife, "Where are the interceptors? Where are the interceptors?" And I just couldn't believe that this was continuing to happen, and whatever hit those towers and whatnot, they just weren't being intercepted. That was the first thing that caught my eye. And then the second thing was when the towers started to fall. And I just said, this can't be happening. That's impossible. That violates the laws of physics. And, because there's no way that the aircraft impact and the puny fires caused by it could have caused the destruction of those towers.
And even more importantly, what happened with Building 7? That's an
what
important
I call
question.
the smoking gun.
Sure.
I made a 3-minute video of Building 7 that absolutely devastates the government's official conspiracy theory. And I call that my smoking gun video. It's all about Building 7. And I use it to lobby and everything else. And anybody can download that. It's on the front page of my website, thepatriots.us. You can go to the website and go to my 3-minute video about Building 7 and download it and copy it and use it. Use it when you lobby your Congress critter. I've shown it to Obama's chief of staff. Spent an hour with him. During that hour, I showed him the 3-minute video. You know what his comment was? I never heard of Building 7.
Building what? Just like the
right.
Building What campaign in New York.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, it's amazing that these people haven't heard about it, but we're going to continue to show them and demand accountability for the largest crime in our lifetimes. And thank you for being such a leader in this effort.
Well, thank you for having me on.